We're looking at something very different and new from ICS in this episode of Airsoftology Reviews. All right, so in my hand, I probably have the first look at the ICS Mars system. Now you've seen this kind of teased in the industry, and I want to talk about what's going on. It's part of their CXP line. This is the Mars, and this is their new premium offering. This is going to be the top end when it comes to ICS guns. And let me tell you what, it's not just what's on the outside here, it's definitely what's under the hood that makes this gun special. So I'm going to tease you with that, but we're going to start with externals first. All right, so externally, I kind of want to go over this gun because it does have some neat kind of look to it. The front rail, we're going to start with the front, work our way back, is very different than anything else you've ever held. You can look, you get a little rail system right here, and then it drops into key mod, and then it comes back. Most people don't really use this area. What that gives you is a nice, comfortable grip. But if you do want to use it, don't worry about it. They put key mod on it. So you have key mod here, key mod down both sides, and key mod at the bottom. Now the bottom is totally smooth, there's no Picatinny, but on the two sides here in the front you have 3 sections, on the top you have 4 sections. So you can put a flip up iron sight up here, or lights, lasers, pec box, something like that. If you want to add some extra, you can always add extra here by putting those key mod segments. Also, of note, this is not airsoft spec, this is real key mod spec, which means it opens up the door for any key mod sections that you have available. But what they did do is they did start that extra rail section here ahead. So the receiver line is right here, so you actually get all this extra rail space. Looks about like 8 sections. I'm just kind of guessing it might be a little bit more than that. So you can forward mount optics. You want to run like a red dot here with the flip to side magnifier. You want to have a larger scope because this is a decent sized gun here. This is the Komodo version. There's actually going to be 4 versions at launch here on this one. This version, one that's longer, more of a DMR style, and then 2 other versions that are slightly smaller in size. This one is kind of, I guess, more of their signature one with the recessed flash hider and of course the kind of the Komodo dragon kind of look thing going on the end. Moving on back, the upper receiver is elevated slightly, so you actually have a little more height, which is nice for you guys who like to do a little indoor CQBing. It gets your optic up a little higher so you can work with masks. That's a good little touch. It's more like a gas system, so having that extra, sometimes it's almost like about 2/3 of a centimeter, maybe about a quarter, maybe almost a ½ inch of extra height does make a big difference when you're trying to get that cheek weld with a mesh mask or like a full dye mask on your face. Coming back here, charging handle, you have that. You have double-sided, so lefty and righty. This is a fully ambi gun, so when you pull this back, you have access to the rotary style hop-up, which I love. It's easy to dial in. I'm so glad every company pretty much has moved to something like this now. Makes it real easy. But what I like about ICS is their grips, the actual little finger grooves, I guess, to get some traction, aren't small. They're big. So if you have gloves on, it's wintertime, you live somewhere cold, you don't have really good fingernails, you can get in there and really move this thing. It's actually very nice. It's a good touch to have. Some of them have a few smaller grooves. I like the larger groove on that. Moving on down, lots of detailing, CXP on the upper receiver, markings. Again, like I said, full ambi mag release, big oversized button here, actually flags out closer. So if you have shorter fingers, you can still reach it. You don't have to like get that little extra hump. It actually moves a little bit closer to you, maybe about a quarter inch, ½ inch. On this side, you have a recessed mag release. It's flush and it's hidden behind things, so you can't accidentally bump it. I do like that touch too. Sometimes if you're like working and you bump it against the wall, you'll drop your mag out. And this one, you're not gonna have that issue here on the left, but it's still easy to be able to get with one hand. Even if you're a righty, to be able to do that mag change here real quickly with the left hand is very nice. While we're on the mag, before we finish up the ambi, if you kind of see that window there, that's a real functional window and something I love about what ICS does. They actually give you these high caps, which are around 300 plus rounds, give or take, for your high cap winder at the bottom, but having that window will let you instantly, very quickly, here, look, it doesn't show all of it, but it just shows part of it. You can quickly glance and go, oh man, I'm almost out of BBs. I need to really think about things. Other than doing what I used to do, the old shake test. You can shake it, listen to the rattle, and like, it sounds about halfway full. Now you know for sure without having to take your eyes off anything. You just kind of look, glance, and get back to shooting your target, knowing you have enough ammo. Coming back around, fire selector, they've reinforced the gear set. It's actually much thicker than pretty much anything else out there. What that does is it gives you a good ambi fire selector experience. Sometimes it feels a little sloppy, like the other side, the opposite side, feels like it's got a little too much play in it. This one, because of the gears, the real oversized components, makes it very easy. So you lefties out there, this is it. And even though the contour grip is contoured like this, and it's still good for left or for right. For me, I'm not even a lefty, and the reason I kind of get excited about ambi guns is I find myself shooting offhanded. Since most people are righties, they're gonna be leaning out of the right side of buildings, the right side of windows, and they're taking up the good spots. If you get good at shooting offhanded, it's like left-handed, it gives you some fantastic firing positions and not having to compete for that good real estate on the battlefield. And I know we talked about the body and everything. This body is CNC machine. That's where all the detail comes from. It's done in-house here in the factory. So you have a lot more detailing work. In fact, everything that's usually just smooth and plain has a lot of milling in it. It's one of those things you really have to see up close and personal to really appreciate. Moving on back, Sling adapters here, left and right, big oversized, you can clip, you can do what you need. Big stock here, very kind of famous in styling. You've probably seen these before. Swivel sling attachments here and here. You can put a lanyard through there or standard sling. To get to the back, it's really easy. Press the button here, pop it right off. Huge battery space in there and tons of room to put a 2-part battery, a 3-part battery, whatever you need inside of this. Now, internals. This is where everything changes on this gun. This is different. So instead of having a standard trigger or a trigger with a Mosfet, this has a full electronic trigger system under the hood. So with the electronic trigger system, it's not just a normal one. It allows you to have a full diagnostic mode. So if you have any problem with the gun, you can send this into diagnostic mode. Take it to semi, hold the trigger down in semi, and you plug the battery in. You wait a few seconds and then light will come on. At that point, it starts the diagnostic test. It'll run through a series of tests that test the actual gear set. It'll actually test the trigger itself because you have to release the trigger first. It'll test the fire selector, which is going to have you move that. All these features are tested during this diagnostic. If it runs into an issue, it'll move to the next test and give you a color-coded flashing or solid light at the very end to let you know, including a gear test. So let's say you have a problem, you've got some junk in there inside, somehow you got it messed up. If you got an obstruction in the gear set, it'll let you know. There's also different levels, 4 different levels of severity. So if there's a problem, let's say with the fire selector, and it won't go into, let's say, full auto and it's just stuck in semi and that's it, and you need to resolve that issue, maybe something happened, no problem, it'll still let you continue firing the gun. But if you have a catastrophic failure, let's say like the Mosfet inside of this, or you have something obstructing the gear set, that's catastrophic. It's going to stop and make you resolve that issue. So it does have, it's like you have an issue, you're not going to have to deal with a total down gun for something that wouldn't take the gun down normally. And they've really gone to a lot of great lengths to give you that diagnostic tool. So now you can go in armed with good information if you need to take this in to have it serviced later on down the road, if there is a problem or some junk got in the gun, some debris, some outside material. Or if you are a tech yourself, you have the information you need to go resolve that issue simply and easily without having to go dig through a myriad of problems to resolve. Also too, because it's a full electronic trigger system, that means you have all kinds of stuff going on under the hood as well. 2 Mosfets in here, but the second one is not used for active braking like you normally find in a Mosfet. The second Mosfet is your emergency Mosfet. If you guys have ever done in Mosfet installs, you plug a battery in, let's say the Mosfet fails, and they do fail sometimes, the gun will start running away crazy and just firing automatically. I've had that happen to me personally at a game, actually GI Water Wars with the gun I was using, where the Mosfet failed, I plugged the battery in and it would just not stop firing at all. Very unsafe. The second Mosfet inside of their trigger system is in place for that safety, so if that does happen, it'll actually stop the system and shut it down. So this is diagnostic friendly, tech friendly, and safety friendly here. But it doesn't stop with that. They actually have programmability. So you can do semi, you can do burst fire mode, you can do all that. All that is also programmed through the trigger itself. It's very simple to do, so no tools, no fancy coding or programming required. So if you want to turn this into a DMR and make it shoot semi-auto all you want, that'll work. Some fields require that. If you want to actually have burst fire mode instead of full auto so you don't overshoot your opponent, that's an option as well. So, since it's a prototype, no chrono, but I want to wrap this gun up right here and let you guys know. Once I get chrono numbers and readings and all that in live fire, I'll let you know. I will tell you this, the trigger, because it's this version is the special version, feels so good. It's nice and smooth. It reminds me like a Polar Star trigger. It's very easy, and it doesn't have like a decided break in it, so I think it's going to be great for follow-up shots. If you guys want to learn more about this, especially now that it's out in the market, it's just being released, and of course there's all kinds of news. I'm really happy to share this with you the first time. As always, I'm going to have a link in the description below so you can check it out. But I want to know before we go, what is your favorite part of the Mars system? Is it the CNC design? Is it the new rails? Because there's a lot of different rail versions on them. Is it the magazine, which I thought was pretty cool to actually being able to see through and see your rounds? Is it the full ambi controls, the upgraded police? Let me know in the comment section below what your favorite part of this gun is, or if you'd like to see something added to it. If you'd like to see them do something different, maybe different colors, maybe different styling. I also like to know that down in the comment section below. But guys, until next time, I've enjoyed having you here. Go out, have fun, play some airsoft, but no matter what you do, call your freaking hits.